Right, time to get back out into the sun. Do about 20 kilometers to finish, so off we go. Time for a hat too, I think. Oh. I do like this wooded section of the park. It's very sort of Narnia-like. I mean, despite the fact that the trees are planted in a sort of matrix grid order. This is one of several, many in fact, small canals that come off the Huangpu. I don't think this one is used by shipping, but some of the others are. And over to my right is Oriental Sports Complex. It's just over my shoulder. Lots of flowers decorating the promenade. It's very nice. Another service station. So at the moment, we're only about 50 or 60 meters away from the main road and sites of incredible construction. But despite that, it is quiet here and full of respite, exactly what you need. This section of the park is called the Qiantun Sister Park, and it was developed in about 2015. The landscaping is gorgeous, sort of a mixture of Sonoran high desert and English garden, country garden. It's fabulous. It's embarrassing how little I know about flowers. But never mind, it's all very lovely. So I want to show you one of these service centres. Let's see if we can go inside. So we're inside service station 16B. It's fantastic. It's air conditioned. You probably can't tell that, but I can. It's full of books, plants on the window, desks you can sit at. It's got Wi-Fi. It's cool. Did I mention it's cool? It's got a massive TV over here, perhaps a monitor for something. There's a first aid kit buried under the desk. And I'll show you what else is around here too. So follow me. It may seem trivial, but there are some fantastic toilets in here too. And a drink station, which at 34 degrees is a very welcome sight. And it's all payable by a simple app on the phone. It takes no more than 5 seconds once you figure out how to use it. Right, let's carry on. So I'm just starting to ride up over this sort of circular ramp that takes the path over a wonderful little bridge that crosses one of the many canals that comes off the Huangpu. There's a plaza just over my left shoulder here, which I've seen host many an event, musical events and fashion shows and minority dancing shows. Now this is interesting. This is I can't remember the name of the canal, but it should be down there by now. It's the longest and straightest one that connects the Huangpu to the East China Sea, or the Pacific Ocean in my mind. And down here you can see some sand and gravel barges. They've been waiting here to go through the locks that are just downstream or along the canal of the bridge, the road bridge that you can see over there. Now in previous times I've seen about 12 of these barges waiting to go through, so this is relatively few here. In fact, this morning the traffic on the river seems to have dropped off a little bit. It's a hot day. Right, let's get going. This is an amazing bridge. It's just for people and bicycles. Now these are wonderful little, well, I'll wait until I can stop and show you. These are terrific. If you ever wondered what happened to the hobbits after the Grey Haven, now you know. Here they are. And it's another example of, they didn't have to do this. It's just a mound with a tree in it. Could be a simple concrete or just paint the job green. But they actually took a bit of time and painted what looks like a hobbit hole. There's a bunch more behind me and also ahead too, so I'm going to go and have a look. And if you want to see them, you'll have to come here. Right, case in point, you see, this beautiful hobbit hole is clearly Bilbo Baggins's. It must have gone to Frodo, that went to Sam Gamgee after the Grey Havens, and here will be Merry's home, or maybe Pippin's. Lovely little things. But there's more to see, so let's cycle on. So remember, this park is 26 and possibly more kilometres long. And there are places in it that it feels long. And this is one of those places. These trees are new in the past 6 months. I mean, they haven't taken 6 months to grow like this, but they planted these as, I suppose you'd call them mature saplings, along with these beautiful roses along the edge. And eventually, a few years' time, if they decide to keep these trees here, things do change very quickly. This will be a rather nice shaded cycle bay. Until then, it is bakingly hot along here. But still very beautiful, and still incredibly peaceful, despite the fact that there are tower cranes less than 100 meters away from me. Quite spectacular. Another small canal, but completely disused now. And this is Bamboo Alley. That's what I call it, at least. Bamboo is acting as a fence here, and it's kind of partially concealing this remnant of the 2010 World Expo. I think this building must have been an old ballroom, because you can see the chandeliers hanging from the ceilings. In fact, you can see the entire insides of the building as it's being slowly torn down. I say slowly, it's been a decade now. They're taking their time, which is nice for us. A bit of urban decay, all very photogenic. It shows you how they build these things so quickly. But now we're just coming up toward the beginning of the Hutan Gardens, which was constructed in 2008 in readiness for the 2010 World Expo. It's a series of ponds that form a sort of managed ecosystem, so that the entire thing is sustainable and needs no extra feeding or harvesting. And this is the first of the ponds that form this several kilometre long section of the sort of managed ecosystem pond, or series of ponds. And although this is nothing close to being wild, it is still, well, the closest that you can probably get to it within a city like Shanghai. And again, it's something that they didn't have to do. It's a demonstration project, as well as being a lovely place to visit. I'll explain more about the project itself as we go along. So the Hutan Gardens were developed on an old brownfield site along the banks of the Huangpu at around about $16 million apparently. And the idea was to demonstrate green technologies along with sort of functional biological ecosystem processes that would take grade 5 polluted water that was extracted from the Huangpu River, which you would not want to swim in, and then through this series of cascading pools and these biological remediation processes turn that water into grade 2 water, which you could then use for agriculture or irrigation. And by the time you reach the end, the ponds and the surrounding vegetation, the ecosystem, looks like this. It's a great place to just wander around. You may not even know or realize that that's what's happening to the waters throughout the course of this. It's a few kilometers worth of ponds. Every now and then there's a tea house hidden in the vegetation. Aha! I was wondering if we'd see one of these things. This is a floodgate, and it gives a sense of how high the river can get. I have heard, I need to find out, that there was a flood something like 7 or 9 years ago that was very high. And this at least gives some indication about how high they might expect a flood to get. And I've seen a few of these things now, mainly on the other side of the river. And this one is clearly protecting this infrastructure, which is this bridge. This is the Lupu Dachiao, or Lupu Large Bridge. Now we're cycling past a reconstructed dry riverbed, which is rather nice. I suspect this has a functional purpose as well. It probably takes overflow during large storms. But of course it reminds us that there's a working river only 50 or 60 meters away. It's very well done. Now this is something I want to show you especially. It's worth getting off the bike. Assuming I can do that without falling over it. This is a wonderful sculpture by Yang of China. It's called Immersed Dreams. And it's a reconstruction of an archaeological site. So things are sort of half buried here in the concrete. Let's just make sure you know where we are. We've got the river right there with boats going down the river. You've got this beautiful arboreal park beside me, and then this sculpture of an archaeological site, even with the things numbered. So we've got an old piece of boiler piping here, tiles from the roof of a house, an old gate, so a farmhouse gate, a fireplace, pieces of tables and furniture, reinforced concrete that's been smashed, an old kettle, pieces of wheels and chimney pots, cups and crockery from a kitchen, an old kitchen cabinet, a wonderful boom box down here, a little tiny portable TV, twin lens reflex camera. I'd like one of those. An old cell phone, those really massive mobile phones you used to get. A bicycle. As a geologist, these are wonderful. This is just like coming across a fossil bed of Archaeopteryx and various dinosaurs and Cambrian fossils, or whatnot. But these are modern, of course. This is the Anthropocene. An old car, the type you'd see in the Soviet Union and China back in the days. Motorbike. Here's a barber's chair. It's terrific. Wonderful stuff. The remains of an old typewriter. They didn't have to do this, you know. This is just a little park by the river. It takes some thought to put something like this in. Dead impressed. Let's move on. Dum de 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 dum. Really hot here. And behind this great green astroturf thing is a beautiful, beautiful facade of an Art Deco building that must have been active as a warehouse or that sort of thing. And now we're coming up to about halfway along the river park on this side of the Bund, on the Huangpu, sorry. This is called the East Bund. All of this is East Bund Park. And this is the Mercedes-Benz Arena. Let me just pause here so we can have a good look at this. Right, so this is about halfway. Actually, I have no idea if it's halfway, but it seems about halfway. And where do I start? There's the Huangpu and the Lupu Dacha, the Lupu bridge, with all that fantastic river traffic coming down it. And we'll have a separate episode, of course, all about these wonderful barges and sand and gravel filled boats coming up and down the river. Down there, you can see the chimney of the it used to be a power station. It's now in the modern Museum of Contemporary Art, or MoCA. And just to the left of the chimney then you can see the Shanghai Tower, which is that tall twisty one, which is about 632 meters high. And beside that, you can't quite see it from this angle, but it's the what we call the bottle opener building. It's one of the financial buildings. It's number 10 in the world. And swinging across this way is this lovely flying saucer type structure of the Mercedes-Benz Arena, which is a 2010 Expo building. And I think probably caters for a lot of basketball and concerts and things like that. And my favorite building in all of Shanghai now, and still is, is that one, the wonderful inverted pyramid of the China Art Museum, which contains the Qingming Festival, which we will talk about in another episode. And then these lovely lily-like structures. There are 5 of those that you can't see from here. You can see the first one just running up a long, long line of these things, all 2010 Expo buildings. It's a terrific site, but you can't hang around here, mainly because it's too bloody hot. So let's get back on the bike and keep going. Of course, the best thing to do would to stop here somewhere and have a nice cold beer. A cold beer would be good.